For the registration requirements pursuant to Section 236 of the National Internal Revenue Code as amended, and also you can take note of Revenue Regulation 7-2024 for ease of paying taxes. That every person subject to any internal revenue tax shall register once, either electronically or manually with the appropriate revenue district office as follows. Yung pong mga hindi nakakaalam na ano ang ibig sabihin ng RDO, it's Revenue District Office. It should be on or before the commencement of business for self-employed individuals, estates and trust, corporation, and their branches, if there's any. Next is before payment of any tax due for corporations, whether taxable or non-taxable, and even the one-time transaction or what we call the ONET. Third is before or upon filing of any applicable tax return statement or declaration as required by the tax code for the corporations, partnerships, associations, cooperatives, and even government agencies and instrumentalities. Fourth is within 10 days from date of employment for those employed. And last, application under Executive Order Number 98 Series of 1999. Ito po yung mga wala tayong trabaho pero wala rin po tayong business to run at hindi tayo self-employed individual, hindi tayo practicing profession, but we need something na taxpayer identification number or any government-issued ID na pwede po natin i-secure sa BIR para makakuha po tayo ng TIN na ito po ay nire-require ng mga opisina ng gobyerno. For example, LTO, kukuha kayo ng lisensya, kailangan nyo ng TIN. O kaya kukuha kayo ng passport, kailangan din nyo nire-require ito under Executive Order Number 98 na pwede po kayo mag-secure ng inyong TIN. Okay? And please take note that TIN, ang meaning po ng TIN is not tax identification number, but it's taxpayer identification number. It shall pertain to the system-generated reference index number issued and assigned by the BIR to each and every person registered in its database. Mamaya malalaman natin, iisa-isahin po natin at i-discuss po detalye ng ating mga kasama ngayon na magdi-discuss po. In all of the business and or personal transactions of the registered person, whether these are with government offices or otherwise, this reference index number is required to be indicated. Lalo na pag nagpapile ng return or any claims po sa BIR, ay mangangailangan kayong ibigay ang inyong TIN. For the TIN structure, ito po, the first 9 digits, ito po yung TIN proper or the unique identifier. Formulatic po ito. No? And the last 5 digits, ito po yung tinatawag nating branch code. Kung kayo naman po ay may business at may branch 1, it will be 00001. Pag branch 2, 002, and so on and so forth. Yan pong last 5 digits po connotes ang branch code. Kaya malalaman po natin pag kayo ay bumibili sa Jollibee for example, hindi ko kino-commercialize po makikita nyo kung anong branch na ng Jollibee yon doon sa last 5 digits. Next po, please take note that only one taxpayer identification number shall be assigned to a taxpayer. Ibig sabihin, dapat po isa lang ang inyong hawak at ginagamit na TIN. That any person who shall secure more than one TIN shall be criminally liable under the provision of Section 275 on violation of other provisions of this code or regulations in general. Kaya if you will notice, pag po nag-a-apply tayo ng TIN, medyo tinitingnan pa po natin sa registration database natin kung kayo ay may kapangalan, may mga parehong impormasyon na we see to it na ang i-generate po natin sa inyo ay exclusive for you. Okay. Kaya anything po na meron kayong hawak na ah, ibang tin or what, kailangan po isa lang po ang ating gagamiting tin. For the application forms to be used, meron po tayong mga different registration forms. Ito po ay maida-download natin sa ating BIR website. Just punta lang po tayo sa ating BIR website, www.bir.gov.ph. Lahat po yan ay maliliit na letra. Doon po natin makikita ang lahat ng gusto nating malaman tungkol sa BIR when it comes to registration. Pag nakita nyo po yung mga registration forms, ito po yung mga sumusunod. Okay? First, we have 1901, 1902, 1903, 1904, and 1905. Kaya series of 1900 po, ito po ang mga registration forms. Okay? Kaya ma-identify po natin agad-agad kung ano ang gagamitin natin pag tayo magpaparehistro sa BIR. First, ang 1901. Ito po, gusto din namin pakita dun sa inyo kung ano itsura ng ating BIR Form 1901 at ito po naman ay may instruction sa likod para po mas maintindihan nyo po kung paano ang pag-fill out nito at ano pa ang mga rationale bakit kailangan yung fill up pa nito at i-file sa BIR. Ito po ay application for registration for self-employed, whether single proprietor or practicing profession. Pwede din po ang mixed income individuals, non-resident alien engaged in trade, business, or even estate and trust. Kaya ito po ang gagamitin nyo as individual. Okay? Yan. And the filing date po will be on or before the commencement of new business or before payment of any tax due or before the filing of a return. Ayan. Kung inabutan ito ng first quarter ng year, dahil nagparehistro kayo or what, gagamitin nyo na po itong T na inyong isi-secure para mag-file ng first quarter return. Or pagdating naman po ng annual, ayan, gagamitin po din natin. At even dun sa iba pa pong magiging transaction natin sa BIR. As individual, whether self-employed or practicing profession. Next naman po is 1902. Malamang po may mga audience po at nagpa-participate sa atin ngayon na mga empleyado or gusto pong pumasok ng trabaho sa nalalapit na January 2026. Ito po ang inyong gagamitin para mag-fill out at mag-apply ng TIN. Pero hindi naman po ito magiging mahirap sa inyo kasi mamaya i-discuss po ng ating mga kasamahan dito kung paano kayo at ano ang mga mode na pwede kayong mag-apply ng TIN. Ang 1902 po ay application for registration for individuals earning purely compensation income, whether it's local and alien employee. Ibig pong sabihin, meron itong employee-employer relationship. Exclusive po na isa lang po kayong empleyado. Hindi po kayo mixed income earner like empleyado sa umaga, may catering services sa gabi. Yan po ay mixed income earner, hindi po 1902 ang ating gagamitin, kundi 1901. Okay? At ito po ipapakita natin at ito po i-apply, ipapile po natin within 10 days from the date of employment or before the payment of any tax due or before the filing of a return or declaration is required. Ayan. Kaya i-acquaint nyo po ang mga sa mga nakikinig at nanonood ngayon sa ating live webinar. Ito po ang inyong dapat i-take note sa inyong pagpaparehistro sa BIR. Okay, and next is ito po Mr. Arambulo, ang 1903 para naman po sa mga mag-a-apply ng korporasyon. Ayan. Ito po ang gagamitin nyo for registration for the corporations, partnerships, whether taxable or non-taxable, including government agencies and instrumentalities, the local government units, cooperatives, and associations. Ito po ang gagamitin ng non-individual po na BIR applicant. Okay, and the filing date will be on or before the commencement of business or before payment of any tax due or before filing a return. Ayan, we have 1903. Take note po yung mga nasa ilalim po ng form number. Meron po tayong version. Ito po yung latest. Nilalagay po natin yan kaya dahil we see to it na ang inyong gagamitin ay yung current at updated na BIR form. Yan, January 2024, dahil lumabas po ang ating Ease of Paying Taxes Act, kaya medyo nagkaroon po tayo ng amendment sa ating mga registration forms. And the next BIR form is 1904. May 1904 po tayo. Siguro meron din tayong tagapakinig dito na pinanganak ng may gintong kutsara sa bibig. Meaning to say, may mga minana sa kanilang mga magulang, ano? Buhay man o patay. Ito po, wala kayong trabaho pero you need to secure tin because may ipapasa sa inyong ari-arian. Yan, kailangan nyo pong mag-apply ng registration for one-time taxpayer and person registering under the EO 98. It's meaning securing a TIN to be able to transact with any government office. Ito po ang gagamitin natin, BIR Form 1904. And it is being filed before payment of any tax due or before filing of return or before the issuance of TIN under EO 98. Yan. Yan po ang inyong gagamitin, 1904. Yan, pinakikita din po natin kung ano ang itsura, ano po, at lagi po lahat po ng registration forms natin ay may instruction sa likod. Okay, ano-anong mga requirements, ano ang filing date, ayan, para mas maintindihan po. And last BIR registration form is BIR Form 1905. Ano po ang 1905? It is the application for registration information update, correction, and even cancellation. Ibig sabihin, ano man ang inyong magiging pagbabago sa inyong information sa BIR, you will be using this BIR Form 1905. I-fill out po natin para i-declare nyo po or ipahayag kung ano po ang changes nyo sa sa inyong information bilang taxpayer. And the filing date shall be filed each time taxpayer needs to register the change in registration, such as but not limited to change in registered activities, change in tax type details, replacement of lost TIN card, and even lost certificate of registration, or even cancellation or registration of your TIN. Ibig sabihin kasi, dadating din tayo sa punto na nag-open tayo ng business, pero hindi po natin, kung nawalan tayo ng kapital or may nangyari sa atin, or nag-abroad tayo, hindi po natin pwedeng itenga or iwan na lang ng ganon ang ating business. Kung may desire tayo na i-close ito, dapat po i-close natin sa BIR. Kasi mahirap naman po na bukas ang ating registration as a business, pero wala na tayo dito at wala naman po kayong balak na ito ay patakbuhin pa rin, dapat po tayong mag-inform sa BIR for the closure of business para wala po tayong matatanggap na mga love letter sa ating BIR, mula sa ating BIR, para wala na rin po tayong intindihin na mga stop filer cases. Ano po? Ayan. Yan po ang mga BIR forms, registration forms para mag-apply po ng TIN. Ano? Those forms are downloadable po sa ating BIR website. Again, www.bir.gov.ph. Now, we discuss Section 5 of Revenue Regulations number 7-2024, the different business taxpayer type. Ano po? Ayan. Una po, ito, yung self-employed individuals. Sino-sino po ito? Ayan, katulad nyo, meron kayong maliit na sari-sari store or bigla-bigla lumalaki dahil kumikita at ini-expand nyo, you are considered as sole proprietor. A business that is owned and operated by a single individual. At kung kayo naman ay professional, hindi po ibig sabihin ng 4-year course graduate ay professional na ha. Maaaring professional dahil kayo ay doktor, abogado, na meron kayong bukod sa inyong residency sa isang ospital na kayo ay employed doon, meron din kayong clinic, okay? Kaya yon pwedeng mixed income earner. Or pwedeng exclusive lang na talagang practicing profession as doctor or as lawyer. The mode of registration po, it can be online or manual registration at the RDO having jurisdiction over the place of business address. And if without physical place of business, it is at the RDO having jurisdiction over the place of residence. For example, online business, online seller, 'di ba? Wala naman kayong pwesto sa doon lang kayo sa bahay. You have to register and you can use your residence address. Okay? And next, we have corporations, partnerships, associations, cooperatives, government agencies, and instrumentalities for us non-individuals. Ayan. Ito po yung tinatawag nating non-individual taxpayers. You can also online or manual register at the RDO having jurisdiction over the place of business address. Siyempre, tutukuyin natin ngayon yung place of business address. If ever, syempre, kung ang head office nyo is residence, doon na rin kayo nagkakonduct ng business, you can register your residence address kung nandoon po yung business itself. Pero kung may mga branches kayo, to each his own. Kung saan nandun ang branches nyo, doon kayo magre-register sa district having jurisdiction over your branches. And for non-resident foreign corporations, please take note. It can be registered online or manual registration at the RDO number 39 South Quezon City. Bakit po sa 39? Tinutukoy natin ang RDO 39 here sa South Quezon City. Kasi po ang BIR head office at ang commissioner po ay rehistrado dito sa RDO number 39 South Quezon City. Yun po ang may sumasakop. Kaya ito pong ating mga non-resident foreign corporations, dito na rin po magpaparehistro sa RDO 39. Okay? Next is your branch and facility. Remember, take note, kahit po kayo ay individual or non-individual, maaaring meron po kayo, nag-branch out kayo ng coffee shop nyo, meron dito sa Visayas, Mindanao, or ano, you have to register also your branch. And even your facility, for example, meron kayong mga warehouse or kaya meron kayong mga storage area na hindi naman nagkakandak ng business or wala namang issuance ng mga ng mga invoices here na nangyayari, kundi taguan lang ng mga goods nyo, you still have to register this as facility. It is being registered at the RDO having jurisdiction over the place of business address or location of the facility in case of taxpayers under the jurisdiction of the large taxpayer service. Its branches and facilities shall be registered at the concerned large taxpayer's office or the division where the head office is registered. Ayan, malinaw din po yung nakasaad sa ating RR 7-2024. Pumunta naman po tayo sa classification of taxpayers under Section 2 of Revenue Regulations 8-2024. And you might be classified under micro taxpayer, meaning, ito po yung coverage gross sales for a taxable year, less than 3 million pesos, you are already a micro taxpayer. Kahit 2,999,000, yan ang micro taxpayer, sana all, no, kahit micro taxpayer na ang tawag sa atin. For a small taxpayer earning with gross sales of 3 million pesos to less than 20 million pesos. Wow. Yan. Classified na po kayo as medium taxpayer. Small taxpayer. But for medium taxpayer, of course, 20 million pesos to less than 1 billion pesos. Wow, much wow. Meaning you are already classified as medium taxpayer. And last classification is large taxpayer. Of course, aside from large taxpayers, ito under the large taxpayer service, kung non-large taxpayers po kayo but you are classified under here large taxpayer, you are earning 1 billion pesos or more. Ayan, yan po ang inyong mga classification.
Is when to register your business and what are the modes of registration po with the BIR. So, let's begin po kung kailan po talaga dapat nag-register ng business pursuant to Section 5A of RR number 7-20. So, na-mention po kanina ni Ma'am Lani na kapag business taxpayer po kayo, dapat nag-register kayo on or before the commencement of business. So, ano po ba yung definition natin ito? So, commencement of business, it shall be reckoned from the day when the first sale transaction occurred or upon the lapse of 30 calendar days. Again, take note po natin itong mga naka-red na po. When the first sale transaction occurred and upon the lapse of 30 calendar days from the issuance of the mayor's permit, professional tax receipt, occupational tax receipt by the LGU, or the certificate of business name registration issued by the DTI, or the certificate of registration issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission, whichever comes first. So, there are times po kasi na may mga taxpayer na kumukuha na sila ng pangalan sa DTI, pero pinapalaps muna nila yung 30 calendar days or sinasabi nila sa kanilang sila mag-register sa kanilang BIR. So, hindi po ganon. So, once po na nakakuha na po tayo, especially po sa mga sole proprietorship po, kapag nakakuha na po kayo ng DTI certificate po ninyo, meron po tayong 30 calendar days to register po with the BIR. So, nakasulat po dito na a person shall be considered to have violated this provision when such person failed to register with the BIR within 30 calendar days from the issuance of mayor's permit, PTR by the concerned LGU, or COR or CBNR issued by the SEC or DTI, or the date of its first sale transaction prior to its registration with the BIR, and therefore will be subject to penalty. So, ayun po yung mention ko earlier na take note lang po tayo once na nakapag-register na po tayo sa SEC or sa DTI, nabibilang po yun ng 30 calendar days, wag po natin ipag walang bahala. So, fees to be paid, since meron na po tayong ease of paying taxes, mostly naman po siguro sa inyo familiar na wala na po tayong babayaran na 500 pesos na annual registration fee. So prior to EOPT po, every January nagbabayad pa po ng 500 na parang renewal ARF. So na-waive na po yon pursuant po sa EOPT. Ang binabayaran na lang po ng business taxpayers is upon registration is yung 30 pesos po na documentary stamp tax. So, after po natin malaman kung kailan tayo dapat nagpapa-register, what are the different modes of registration po natin sa BIR? So, we have 5 bullets po. So, I hope after this webinar po ma-familiarize kayo na hindi lang walk-in or hindi lang ORUS yung modes of registration natin with the BIR. So, we have 5 po. So, the first one po is yung walk-in through single window policy. Yung second po, familiar po ba sila sa new business registration or the new BizReg portal? The third mode of application po or registration is the TRRA or the Taxpayer Registration Related Applications Portal. The fourth is the Philippine Business Hub. And lastly is our online registration and update system or ORUS. So later on po, let's discuss po each one of them. So first one po is the walk-in through single window policy. Wherein in compliance po sa ease of doing business na minandate ni RTAM, dapat daw po every revenue district office or RDO is meron silang new business registrants counter manned by the new business registrants officers or CNBRO. So, kung may mga nakapunta na po sa inyo dito sa mga BIR RDO, meron po tayo talagang counter for new business registrants. So, ang application po is, sa Citizens Charter po natin, ang naka-reflect po is 1 day or within 8 working hours po. So, ang sense po ni single window policy is a single window approach na sa same counter nyo po, ibibigay yung requirements ninyo, and sa same counter din po ninyo, makukuha yung mga permits, yung mga COR na kailangan po ninyo. So, yung step 1 is submit complete documentary requirements kay new business registrants counter. Step 2 po, yung pay the documentary stamps and kung mag-a-avail po kayo ng BIR printed invoice. And yung step 3, sa same counter, kukunin niyo po yung COR, yung authority to print po ninyo or yung BIR printed invoice or yung BPI po natin, and yung notice to issue invoice. So later on po, yung ATP and BPI is mag-discuss pa po yun sa invoicing nating topic. So this is the single window policy po natin sa BIR. So we have RMO or Revenue Memorandum Order number 19-2018 for the issuance na reference po ng ating single window policy. So this one is mentioned na rin po earlier ni Ma'am Lani kung where to register your business. So at the RDO, having jurisdiction over the place of principal business, pero kung wala pong physical location, like online sellers po na na-mention ni Ma'am kanina, doon po sila magre-register sa RDO having jurisdiction over their residence address. So second mode of registration po with BIR is the new BizReg portal. So, familiar na po ba kayo kay new BizReg portal? So, it is an alternative option in submitting application for registration of business, either head office man po or branch to the bureau. So, this one po is merely submission lang po siya ng application, wherein para lang po siyang email submission na papasok po sa generic email address po ni RDO. So we have RMC or Revenue Memorandum Circular 73-2021 po as reference for the new BizReg. So, paano po ba mag-submit ng application? Through Newbies Reg portal. So, once po na napunta po kayo sa portal ni Newbies Reg, wherein makikita nyo rin naman po yun sa BIR website and proceed po sa e-services. So, naka-display po doon yung documentary requirements na kailangan ninyo kumpletuhin. So, kailangan nyo lang pong i-scan yon to PDF copy. Take note lang po of the limitation na dapat hindi siya lalagpas ng 4 MB yung total file size ng lahat ng attachments per email. Kasi there's a possibility po na kapag lumagpas na ng 4 MB, magbabounce back na po yung email since may limitation din po kasi yung generic email. Pwede niyo pong liitan yung I think meron naman sa settings na mapababa yung quality ng attachments, pero hindi naman yung sobrang hindi na mababasa. So, take note lang po yung 4 MB na limitation. So, the second one po, kapag magpapasa sa Newbies Reg portal is to determine the filing and payment obligation on the tax type questionnaire. So, on the next slide po, ipapakita ko yung sample ng tax type questionnaire. Pero this one po, since through email submission po ang Newbies Reg portal, ida-download nyo po yung tax type questionnaire, a-answeran nyo po yun, and tsaka nyo po siya i-scan and attach as attachment po dun sa email na isasubmitin nyo kay RDO. So, yun po kasi yung magiging basis ni RDO ng pag-identify ng tax types ninyo. So, yung third step po, pay the 30 pesos plus DST. We have e-payment channels naman po kay Newbies Reg portal. And attach all required documents in the email and submit to the email address of the concerned RDO. So, yung fifth step po is to receive an email for the scheduled pickup of COR and buying of BIR printed invoice or authority to print if applicable. So, dito po, since si Newbies Reg po, a little background lang, siya po ay developed during the pandemic since hindi po masyado tayo inaalaw maglabas ng bahay natin. So, alternative po si Newbies Reg to submit the application. So, pupunta na lang po sa RDO para i-pick up yung COR, yung DPI, or yung APP. So, take note lang na ang processing po through the Newbies Reg portal is 3 working days. So, makaka-receive naman po kayo ng email kapag acknowledge na ni RDO yung sinubmit ninyong documentary requirements, and makaka-receive din kayo ng email within 3 working days if available na for pick up yung inyong COR. So, this one po, ito yung may na-mention ko kanina na tax type questionnaire. Downloadable naman po ito sa Newbies Reg portal. So, lalagay nyo lang po yung registered name ninyo, yung date, and mark nyo lang po ng X kung ano po yung applicable sa inyo. Again, pag na-send po ito kay RDO, ito po yung magiging basis nila ng pag-identify ng tax types na applicable sa inyo. Yung third mode po natin of registration is the Taxpayer Registration Related Applications Portal or the TRRA portal. So, si TRRA portal po is expansion lang siya ni Newbies Reg portal. Since si Newbies Reg portal po kasi ang pinaka-function niya is for business taxpayers, wherein si TRRA po is an alternative option in submitting application for registration-related transactions to the BIR. The application is submitted electronically through this portal via email. So, medyo malaki po yung pagkakaparehas nila ni Newbies Reg portal. Ang kagandahan lang po kay TRRA, kahit hindi po kayo business, is pwede po kayong mag-submit ng inyong applications dito. www.bir.gov.ph/TRRA portal. Meron din po ito sa e-services portion sa ating BIR website. So, we have RMC 109-2023 as reference po sa ating TRRA po. So, same lang naman po yung submission na to. Parang i-attach nyo lang yung documents niyo via email and masasend siya sa generic email po ni RDO. So, ano po ba yung transactions na pwedeng isubmit through the TRRA portal? We have application 14 under EO 98 and on it. So, hindi lang po business. Yung na-mention kanina ni Ma'am Lani na applications for one-time transactions and EO 98 po, kailangan niyo po ng team or government transactions, pwede niyo po i-apply yun through TRRA portal. Pwede niyo i-submit. So ito, medyo bago ito sa ating non-resident digital service providers. Pwede po kayong mag-submit ng applications through the TRRA portal. OFW and non-resident citizens. We also have application for authority to bid, updating of email address using application sheet form S1905. So if gusto niyo pong gumamit ng ORUS, pwede po muna kayong mag-fill out ng S1905 para ma-update po yung email address ninyo. Pwede niyo po yung isubmit via TRRA portal. So the fifth transaction po, transfer of registration of employees and other non-business taxpayers. So kung lilipat kayo ng residence, provided na wala po kayong business dahil for employees lang po ito and non-business, pwede po kayong mag-apply na lang for TRRA. Updating of maiden name for marriage email, pwede rin po. Updating of registration information of Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao or BARM registered taxpayers. And the last one po is submission of inventory report and notice under RR 7-2024. So these are the transactions naman po na pwede ninyo isubmit through TRRA portal. So yung fourth mode of registration po natin is si Philippine Business Hub. So ano po ba ito si Philippine Business Hub? It is formerly known as the Central Business Portal or the CBP. So it is an online platform that is aimed to streamline and integrate the business registration processes of SEC, DTI, BIR, SSS, PhilHealth, HDMF, and selected LGUs and Metro Manila. So si PBH po is hindi po siya a sole system po ni BIR. So it is a project po of ARTA and DICT in compliance po with the ease of doing business. So parang central system po siya na nagre-receive ng business-related transactions from different government agencies. So parang one-stop shop po siya ng mga gustong mag-business na pagpunta niyo po sa Philippine Business Hub, pwede na po kayo kumuha din ng BPI, BIR, and other government transactions po. So ang reference issuance po natin, RMC, numbers 15-2021 and 61-2020. So ano po ba ang features ni Philippine Business Hub? Issuance of PIN of new corporations or individual taxpayers. So pwede po yan kay PBH. Identification of the NIR, National Internal Revenue Taxes, which the taxpayer will be liable to. So earlier po, pinakita ko sa inyo yung tax type questionnaire wherein sa newbies reg, i-download mo, pipil-outan mo, and then iscan mo ulit, tapos attach mo sa email. So kay Philippine Business Hub, ang kagandahan naman po dito, nandun na sa system mismo yung mga tax type questionnaires, and ikiklik mo na lang po kung anong applicable na answer sa tax type questionnaire na yon. So again, yun yung magde-determine ng tax type na applicable kay taxpayer. So the third feature po is the payment of the 30 pesos loose documentary stamp tax through the e-payment facilities or manually at the Revenue District Office. So you have the option po kung meron kayong e-payment, kung meron kayong mga online banking, pwede nyo bayaran din yung BSD or pwede rin naman po sa RDO. And the last feature po, generation of BIR electronic COR, which can be printed in A4 paper size by the taxpayers at their end. The electronic COR bears a QR code that serves as a security feature to prove the authenticity of the COR. So since napipili na po natin doon sa PBH yung ating tax type questionnaires, pwede na rin po natin ma-generate yung COR natin. So, ipiprint lang po natin yon to A4 paper size. So, at the convenience po ni taxpayer kung nasa office man siya or nasa bahay, pwede niyo na pong ma-print yung COR niya. Pero, just a reminder lang po na since si taxpayer or tayo lang po yung nag-i-encode ng details, there will be times po or kung meron mang instance na magkamali tayo sa pag-encode ng details, wala na pong undo functionality sa PBH. So any modification po or changes po na makikita ninyo upon generation ng COR is sa RDO nyo na po siya aayusin. So sa RDO kung saan po kayo may register. So Since hindi lang naman po sa COR natatapos, pupunta pa rin po kayo sa BIR para kumuha ng APP ninyo or yung notice to issue or receipts or invoice or yung NIRI po natin. So the last mode po of registration is the online registration and update system or the ORUS. So https orus.bir.gov.ph/home. So si ORUS po is a web-based system that gives taxpayers a convenient and alternative facility for an end-to-end process for registration, including the updating of their registration information. So kay Oris po, alam naman natin na hindi lang siya nag-focus for business taxpayers. Kaya na rin po niyang i-accommodate kapag employer-employee relationships since meron na po tayong employer services link. Kay Oris, kaya na rin po niyang i-accommodate either individual or non-individual na business, even yung mga NRFC po natin or the non-resident foreign corporations, pwede na rin po tayo dito mag-PIN verification, pwede na rin po tayo dito mag-update ng ating registration information details. So we have RMC 121-2023 for the complete functionality po ni ORUS. So for the documentary requirements po, I don't know if everyone na po is familiar na po sa latest issuance natin for the updated checklist of the documentary requirements, which is the RMC 74-2025. So kung kayo po ay individual, taxpayer, or self-employed individuals, dapat po, yung na-mention ni Ma'am Lani kanina, BIR Form 1901, and any government-issued ID, such as Phil ID or e-Phil ID, passport, driver's license, or e-driver's license that shows the name, address, and birth date of the applicant. And in case the ID has no address, any additional proof of residence or business address under the name of the applicant, one photocopy. Or in case naman po na practice of profession regulated by PRC, kailangan niyo po ng valid PRC ID and government ID showing the address or proof of residence or business address under the name of the applicant. So, yung third po natin na requirement is to buy the BIR printed invoice or final clear sample of own invoices. And yung fees to be paid, yung 30 pesos po na loose DST to be affixed on the COR. Again, wala na po tayong 500 pesos na annual registration fee na babayaran. And the procured printing cost of BPI if opted to use. So for the non-individual requirements naman po, corporations, partnerships, cooperatives, associations, joint venture, and other non-individuals, tulad po ng na-mention ni Ma'am Lani earlier, BIR Form 1903 po yung gagamitin natin. And certificate or incorporation or digital certificate of incorporation since meron na rin po tayong digital copy nito. Kapag naman po partnership, certificate of recording or yung digital certificate, again, take note ko lang po na hindi naman po ito lahat kailangan yung i-accomplish kung ano lang po yung applicable since naka-OR lang naman po siya. So if in case po na foreign corporation licensed to do business in the Philippines or yung digital certificate, or kung cooperative po, CDA, Certificate of Registration, or the COR issued by the HLURB, or the COR issued by DOLE, whichever is applicable. And articles of incorporation, or yung digital articles of incorporation, or yung articles of partnership, or yung digital copy, or articles of cooperation, association, or constitution and bylaws of the applicant union. Again, kung ano lang po yung applicable sa inyo. And buying of BIR printed invoice or final year sample of own invoices, kung ano po yung option ninyong gamitin. And again, kahit non-individual po, ang babayaran lang ay ang 30 pesos loose DST to be affixed on the COR and the procured printing cost of PPI if opted to use. Just a reminder lang po, since na-mention natin earlier yung ORUS, baka meron po sa inyong nakapag-try na gumamit ng ORUS and may na-encounter pong error. We have Section A6 of RMC number 91-2024, which states that a taxpayer who encounters error or technical issue while using ORUS may transact manually at the Revenue District Office provided that the taxpayer can present proof of error or technical issue or screenshot encountered. So again, pwede pa rin po tayo mag-transact sa RDO pursuant kay Section A6 po ni RMC 91-2024 provided po na pag nakaka-encounter tayo ng error kay ORUS is screenshot lang po natin yung proof natin na nag-try tayong mag-ORUS pero hindi natin ma-proceed yung transaction na ginagawa natin. So, in case naman po na merong advisory, si BIR na merong systems downtime, yung po yung kahit wala na po kayong dalang screenshot, basta meron pong advisory sa BIR website or sa BIR page na naka-down po ang ating online services, pwede po kayong mag-transact manually kay RDO kahit wala na po kayong dalang screenshot. So mostly naman po ang ina-advise lang namin kapag primary error na na-encounter kay ORIS is mag-clear cache or clear browsing history. Pero worst case scenario, kung nagawa na yun, naglipat na ng ibang computer or ng ibang gadget, tapos same error pa rin yung lumalabas, pwede pa rin naman po kayong mag-transact manually.
Requirements naman po tayo na po. So these compliance requirements, you can also view these on Revenue Regulations, Regulation number 7-2024. So you can check that through our website. So first, of course, after you register na po, nabigay na ni Ma'am Lani yung background and ni Miss Claire yung ating mga ways to register. So after registering, ano na po yung gagawin natin? So first of all, you have to post your certificate of registration. So, siya po yung nasa right ng screen natin. So, yan po yung itsura niya. So, yan po yung itsura pag nakuha nyo siya manually sa Revenue District Office. But if you got it from ORHUS or from Philippine Business Hub, pwede nyo naman siya i-print out sa normal na paper, yung white paper. But same information are being displayed naman kahit pa anong means of registration yung ginawa nyo. So this certificate of registration according to section 5 CND ng National Internal ng Revenue Regulation number 7/2024 rather shall be posted doon sa conspicuous place sa isa business location nyo po where the business is conducted and at each branch and or facility in a way that is clearly and easily visible to the public. So yun po ay pag manual. Pag naman po tayo ay nag-engage sa online business, I'm sure meron po tayong mga nakikinig po right now na ang business nyo po ay sa online, sa mga online selling platforms. So yun po, nagkaroon na po ng requirement din si BIR that your COR, ito po yung nakikita nyo, scan nyo siya or yung nakuha yung ECOR from our online registration, kailangan nyo po siyang i-post doon sa profile page profile nyo po doon sa page ng online selling platforms. Kaya pag tinitingnan nyo po ngayon yung mga online selling platforms, yung profile ng mga sellers, meron nang nakalagay na COR para din po for legitimacy purposes, para makita nyo na yung katransact nyo is registered with the government agency, particularly the BIR. So dito po sa COR, marami kasi nagtatanong, ano ba yung ifa-file ko? Ano ba yung mga dapat kong deadline na dapat tandaan? Hindi nila alam. But right now sa COR, as you can see, makikita nyo na po dyan yung mga forms. Ayan po yung mga forms and then makikita nyo na rin kung yung frequency niya, monthly ba, annual, and kung ano yung deadline niya. So makikita nyo dyan on or before ba the 10th day of the following month, kung monthly siya. And then sa baba may mga reminders pa po kami. So all you have to do is to look at your COR to check kung ano ba yung mga dapat yung i-file para po hindi tayo magkakaroon ng problem later on na ay hindi ko alam na ganito pala, magpa-file pala ako. Nasa COR na po lahat. Next, you also need to secure NIRI. Right now, we call this NIRI or the Notice to Issue Receipt or Invoices. Ito po yung dating ask for receipt, yung kulay orange na nakikita natin before sa mga establishment. So, pinalitan natin siya ngayon ng NIRI. But later on po, pag naubos na yung supply ng NIRI, papalitan na namin siya ng Notice to Issue Invoices na lang yun yung nasa baba. Kasi po, under the Ease of Paying Taxes Law, invoice na po ang tawag, whether it's a sale of service or sale of goods. So, for now, yan muna dapat yung nakikita nyo sa mga business establishment. Next po, registration of business name. Each business name daw po, including the store name used in any online store or e-commerce platform, shall be registered with the BIR and shall be reflected in the BIR COR. So for the benefit of those na hindi pa masyadong familiar, yung business name po, ito yung name na gusto mong makilala yung business mo. For example, I'm Gibson Santa Maria, but I want my restaurant to be known as, kunyari, for example, is Gibson's Fine Dining Restaurant. So, for example, ganun siya. So, yung Gibson's Fine Dining Restaurant, kailangan ko siyang i-register kung sakaling ang tinayo kay single proprietorship kay DTI. Kung magkatayo naman ako ng corporation, kailangan ko siyang i-register with the SEC. Same thing with the store name. Di ba po sa mga online selling platform, we have a different name na nilalagay dun sa store natin. So pag ganun po, kailangan yung mga store name na yun, nire-register din po natin kay BIR para po ma-recognize na sa atin yon para walang pag may magkiklaim na iba, sabihin ng DTI and INSEC ay nagamit na yung business name na yun ng ibang tao. So you are assured na walang gumagamit ng ibang business name na katulad nung sa'yo. And of course, not only with the BIR, but you also have to register that with all the other government agencies. Next, for the invoicing requirements, I'm sure dito po kayo interested sa pagre-resibo or pag-i-invoice na, we call that invoicing na. So, ito po, papakita ko lang sa inyo yung mga few details, yung mga major details, but if you want to know the whole context of the invoicing requirements, you can check po Section 237 and 238 of the National Internal Revenue Code. So, first, let's define invoice. Invoice daw po is the written account evidencing the sale of goods and or services issued to customers in the ordinary course of trade or business. So, before po, nabanggit ko kanina na may isa paying taxes law tayo. Before nung EOPT ng 2024, I'm sure familiar kayo, mas familiar po kayo dun sa term na OR or the official receipt. Actually, before the EOPT, kapag ang binibili mo ay or ang binibenta ng seller rather is service. For example, nagpunta ka sa salon, pinupitan ka, or kumain ka sa restaurant, binigyan ka ng food service. Pag service ang binibenta ng isang business, ang ini-issue niya official receipt. Yun yung main or yun yung ano niya, yun yung principal invoice niya evidencing the sale of services. And kung goods naman yung binebenta, for example, nagpunta ka sa bookstore, bumili ka ng mga libro or pumunta ka sa hardware, bumili ka ng mga parts. So, yung mga yun po, dahil goods yung binibenta nila, physically nahahawakan mo, sales invoice yung tawag sa primary evidence ng sale nila. But right now, under the EOPT law, whether it's a sale of service or sale of goods, invoice na po yung tawag. So ngayon po, kapag mapupunta kayo sa mga establishment or mahihingin kayong proof of sale sa isang establishment nga po, ang hingin nyo na invoice. It can be sales invoice, commercial invoice, cash invoice, charge or credit invoice, service invoice, or miscellaneous invoice, anything na may word na invoice, yun po yung dapat na binibigay sa inyo. And it can be classified as VAT invoice kung more than 3 million ang expected sales ng isang business or pag below, non-VAT invoice. So what happens with the official receipt? Sir, valid pa ba yung official receipt? Official receipt is now considered as supplementary document. Ano po ba ang supplementary document? So kung ang invoice ay primary document, ang supplementary document naman, written document other than sales or commercial invoice, which serves as source of accounting entries in the books of accounts. For example, may bumili po sa inyo, kayo po mga seller, bumili sa inyo, pero binili niya yun on account or inutang niya, sabihin niya, babayaran niya after 1 month. So during the time na binenta mo sa kanya yung service or goods, i-issuean mo na siya ng invoice. Nakalagay doon, babayaran niya after 30 days. Ngayon po, once nabayaran niya after 30 days, kailangan mo siyang bigyan ng supplementary document to acknowledge the receipt of payment. So it can be OR, ngayon OR na, pwede na OR, pwedeng acknowledgement receipt, or kung nakarinig na kayo ng collection receipt. So anything na magpo-prove na na-receive mo yung pera niya. So for purposes of VAT, hindi po pwedeng gamitin yun as valid proof or support ng claim for input taxes, kaya siya tinawag na supplementary. So, mga sample din po niya, delivery receipt, kunyari, order slips, di ba sa mga restaurant, pag binibigyan tayo ng order slip. So, yun po ay mga supplementary document na nagsiserve ng other purpose other than sales. So, yan, debit credit memo, purchase order, ayan, yung mga nakikita nyo pong sample sa screen. Then for the issuance of invoice, according to the law, all persons subject to internal revenue tax, kayo nga po yung mga nagbebenta or yung mga seller, at the point of each sale and transfer of merchandise or for services rendered valued at 500 pesos or more, shall issue a duly registered invoice showing the name, PIN, date of transaction, quantity, unit cost, and description of merchandise or nature of services. So yan daw po, kailangan pag mag-issue kayo ng invoice for sale na 500 pesos or more. So, yung threshold po na yun ng 500 pesos, according to the law, it shall be reviewed every 3 years to consider inflation. So, expect po natin in the coming years, yung 500 na yun, tataas pa siya. Yung bracket yung floor price, yung price floor para mag-issue ng invoice. But there's also an exception. So, kung kayo po ay VAT registered taxpayer, meaning yung expected sales nyo ay more than 3 million in a certain year, kailangan nyo mag-issue ng invoice regardless kung 500, 1 peso, or 2 pesos lang yung binibili sa inyo. Regardless of the amount, you have to issue an invoice. And also, kahit kayo ay non-VAT taxpayer pero yung buyer nyo gusto niya ng proof ng invoice dun sa particular niyang binili, kailangan nyo pong magbigay ng receipt, ng invoice. So, if the buyer demands or requires, mag-i-issue pa din kayo regardless of the amount. Ngayon po, ano pong mangyayari? Baka pong question nyo, ano mangyayari, sir, dun sa mga benta na, for example, meron akong 10 customer, below 500 lang po yung binili nila. What will happen? So, at the end of the day, you have to issue one invoice for the aggregate sales for the day, below 500 pesos. So, lahat po ng mga below 500 yung nabenta for the day, i-calculate nyo po yun, i-compute nyo, at mag-issue kayo ng one invoice. One invoice nakalagay po doon sa invoice na yon, various customer, yun po yung ilalagay nyo, tas yung total niya. And then, baka po isa pa yung tanong, kasi before the EOPT law ng 2022, tinanggal na ng BIR yung expiration ng mga invoices saka official receipts. So dati 'di ba 5 years niyo lang pwedeng magamit. So tinanggal na 'yon. So ang tendency ng iba nagpagawa na ng maraming OR. Ano pong mangyayari dun sa mga OR na 'yon? Hindi na ba siya pwedeng magamit? According to the EOPT, pwede pa naman po. It can be converted until fully consumed. Provided lalagyan niyo siya ng i-strike through nyo yung invoice, yung OR, gagawin yung invoice. Susulatan nyo ng invoice. So, kaya baka po nakakakita na kayo ng mga ini-issue sa inyong invoice na nakalagay official receipt tapos in-strike through lang or statement of account, in-strike through lang ginawang invoice. Yan, pwede po yon. And it should also contain all the information na required ng EOPT na dapat kasama sa invoice para ma-qualify siya as tamang conversion ng OR to invoice. Mamaya po i-discuss ko kung ano yung mga information na yun na dapat nasa isang invoice. So, manner of issuance. So, we have different manner of issuance for invoice. Yung pinaka-common is the manual issuance of invoice. Yan po yung mga naka-bound. Tapos, kada ini-issue sa inyo, pinipilas nyo po. Di ba, binibigay nyo yung customer copy. And then, naiiwan sa inyo yung second or triplicate copy niya. And then, dapat naka-bound siya. So yun po, bago siya gamitin, bago nyo siya pa-print, kailangan of course mag-secure kayo ng authority to print from the BIR. We also have a computer-aided issuance ng resibo or invoice. So for example, pre-printed na, di ba sa manual kasi, pre-printed din naman siya, yung mga information, pero sinusulat mo yung details like kung ilan yung binili, ano yung pangalan ng customer. But for the computer-aided issuance, pre-printed din yung mga details, yung mga main details. But since gusto mo naman ng medyo presentable, papadaanan mo siya for example sa printer. So, kunyari, gagamit ka ng Excel or ng Word, yung mga walang system, hindi siya system, parang computer-aided lang talaga. So, pag ganun po, ang tawag na doon loose leaf. Kasi, naka-loose yung papel, ilalagay mo sa printer, papadaanan mo siya. And then, before using that, kailangan mag-secure ka, aside from the ATP, permit to use loose leaf. So, yan po. One time lang naman pong hinihingan yun ng permit sa BIR. And then for dun sa mga sellers po natin or mga nakikinig natin na medyo, for example, in the coming years or months, medyo nag-boom yung business nyo, gusto nyo nang gumamit ng full-blown system, computerized accounting system or components na yung gusto nyo gamitin, pwede naman po, pati resibo, pati invoice na i-issue na nun. Kaya lang po, kailangan nyo munang mag-secure na acknowledgement certificate kay BIR bago nyo gamitin yung system na yon. So parang ipapa-acknowledge nyo lang kay BIR that you are using a certain computerized accounting system. Then we also have the BIR printed invoice. So the BIR printed invoice po, ito po yung pinaprint na BIR na mga invoice in order for new business registrants to immediately commence its business operation after registration. Kasi po karamihan ng mga nagbi-business minsan, hindi nila alam na ay magpapa-invoice pala, wala akong kakilala, paano ko ba siya gagawin? So para po habang nagtitingin ka pa kung paano yung proseso ng pagpapagawa ng invoice, nagbebenta po si BIR ng BIR printed invoice. And this is sold at cost. So wala pong kita dyan ng BIR. Kung 50 pesos po namin siyang napaprint, 50 pesos din namin siyang ibebenta. But it varies from one district to another kasi po, depende po kung magkano nila napaprint doon sa mga printing shop kasi di ba iba-iba naman po yung rates ng printing shop. So, kung kayo po nagpapa-ATP, kami rin nagpapa-ATP ng mga BIR printed invoice. So, depende po sa makukuhang printing shop nung BIR office, particular BIR office, ganun po yung presyo na maibebenta sa inyo. Pero you are assured that it is sold at cost. And new business registrants are allowed to use the said BIR printed invoice during the first year lang po of operation. So, in-expect po natin na next year, sa susunod na operation ng business nyo, second year, you are well knowledgeable to know how to process ATP. So, pwede na kayong magpagawa ng sarili nyong invoice. So, ito po yung sample nung batch sales invoice na BIR printed invoice. So, as I have mentioned, you can use this on the first year of operations. Ang downside lang po nito, ang ano po pala muna, ang benefit, makakapag-start ka na ng business agad kasi yan, may invoice ka na agad, hindi mo na hihintay ma-print. Pero ang downside lang niya, because this is pre-printed and hindi naman namin alam kung sino-sino mga taxpayer yung bibili, pati po yung details nyo as seller, ito po yung nasa part na to, yung taxpayer, yung seller's information. Usually po kasi pag nagpagawa kayo ng invoice, naka-print na to, hindi nyo na isusulat kasi alam nyo naman na yung pangalan nyo, yung details. But for this purpose, dahil hindi nga alam ni BIR kung sino yung mga bibili, pati itong seller's information nakabakante. So every time na mag-i-issue kayo kung duplicate or triplicate copy yan, isusulat nyo din siya lagi. So, medyo masakit lang sa kamay kasi isusulat nyo siya lahat. But yun nga po, if mas prefer nyo itong gamitin, okay lang din naman po para makapag-start na kayo ng business. Ito naman po ay kanina nabanggit ko, good for 1 year, pwede nyo siyang gamitin. But for those taxpayers na ang nature ng business, hindi siya nakakaubos ng isang booklet or yung 50 sets sa isang taon. For example, yung mga nagpaparenta lang or kasi kunyari ilang pinto lang yung pinaparentahan or yung mga sales agent na hindi naman madalas makabenta ng mga kasi medyo mahal din yung mga binibenta nila. So, sa isang taon, hindi sila nakaka-50 invoice. Yun po, according to our regulations, pwede pa silang gumamit ng BRM printed invoice even beyond the 1 year. Para lang po doon sa mga hindi masyadong nakakaubos ng one booklet sa isang taon. Then, ito na po, yung binabanggit ko kanina, required information contained in the invoice. So, ito po yung mga required information contained sa invoice. So, let's start with the VAT invoice. So, ito po yung itsura ng invoice. Ayan. So, i-zoom in natin siya para makita natin lahat ng details. So, first, yung pangalan. So, again, as minention ko kanina, it should contain the word invoice. Nakalagay po dito sa nakapulang rectangle dito sa kanan. Pwede pong mabago yan. Pwede maging sales invoice, pwede maging service invoice or commercial invoice as long as the word invoice is there at sana medyo mas malaki yung word na invoice kapag lalagyan nyo siya. So ito yung sample nung invoice. I-mention ko na rin po bago ko makalimutan, ibalik ko siya. Ito po ay pro forma lang po sample sample invoice lang po to, sample layout. Hindi po ito plakado na dapat ito yung itsura ng invoice nyo. So kung gusto nyo yung invoice na word ay nasa baba, nasa gitna, nasa gilid, nasa kabilang gilid, yung logo nyo gusto nyo nasa gitna, yung name ng seller gusto nyo nasa baba, name ng buyer gusto nyo nasa taas, kayo po yung bahalang mag-layout. Ang i-discuss ko lang po dito kung ano yung mga mandatory na nandoon sa loob ng invoice. So, after the name invoice, let's go to number 2, yung seller's logo. Seller's logo is optional lang naman po. Hindi naman mandatory na magkaroon kayo ng logo. But for business practices, usually naglalagay ng logo for for goodwill and at the same time para ma-known yung brand nyo na pag ito yung logo, si Sandbox yan. Then next is the business name or trade name. This is also optional. So kung gusto nyo ilagay, but usually nilalagay yan para again nga for goodwill and for recall doon sa mga customers nyo para malaman nila, ay si Sandbox pala tong binilhan ko. Then we have the seller's information. Ito mandatory na to. Yung pangalan ng seller, registered name niya, yung TIN, kung ba't registered siya, VAT reg TIN ilalagay niya before the TIN itself, and then the address of the seller. Para alam ni buyer, pag meron siyang reklamo or babalikan niya si seller, bibili pa siya ulit, so alam niya kung saan niya babalikan. Then we have the serial number. So the serial number, hindi naman kailangan ganitong number of digits. Kayo po ang magde-decide, saka kung kaya ng printing shop nyo na mas madaming serial number na digits, mas okay. Or kung gusto nyo siyang lagyan ng prefix, alpha character, okay lang din naman po. The next, date of transaction, of course, importante yan. Kailangan po nandyan yan. Then, ito pong cash and charge sales, hindi naman siya mandatory. So, pwede nyo naman siyang ilagay or hindi. Kasi minsan may mga seller na gusto nila identified kung cash or charge. But this is not a mandatory field or item in the invoice. Then next, we have the buyer's information. Ayan, importante din po yan. Lalo na kung yung bibili sa inyo ay gagamitin siya for claiming ng input taxes. But if your customer is a direct consumer, for example, may bumili sa inyo ng, kunyari, shampoo, bumili siya ng isang sachet. So, hindi nyo na kailangan kunin yung PIN niya, business address, even the name, hindi na nga kinukuha. Okay na po yan pag end consumer naman yung gagamit. But pag sinabi sa inyo na, ay, pakilagay yung pangalan ko kasi i-claim ko siya for input taxes or for reimbursement, kailangan yung kunin yung full information para mailagay nyo. Next is the details of transaction, the item description, kung goods yung binibenta nyo, the nature of service, kung service naman, the quantity, the unit price, and the amount. Then sa bandang baba, we have the breakdown ng VAT, since this is a VAT invoice nga po. And then we have another item, separate item, kung gusto niyo pang i-breakdown, kung meron kayong zero-rated sale, exempt sales. But for some taxpayers, gusto nila hiwalay yung resibo nila pag zero-rated or VAT exempt. Pero kung gusto niyo pagsamasamahin para isang invoice na lang, okay lang din naman pong ilagay. Then we have the details for the senior citizen, PWD, at kung ano-ano pang mga details nung mga discount na kiniklaim natin. Di ba we have different laws on discount. So, dun yung ilalagay. Maglalagay kayo ng portion for that. And lastly, yung mga permit to use and ATP details. So, since kinukuhanan nga po ito ng authority to print bago ini-issue yung invoice, kailangan po ilagay nyo yung details para ma-validate kung talaga bang na-issue ng BIR. But meron pang isang information dito na baka familiar kayo na nawala, yung accredited printers details, yung printing shop. So, ginawa na lang namin siyang optional. But if you're accredited printing shop, once na yung pangalan nila ilagay para din makita ng mga taxpayer na bumibili sa inyo na ay, dito pala pwede magpa-print, pwede rin namang ilagay. Again po, ito lang po ay mga mandatory information. Anything na gusto nyo pang i-add, gusto nyo ba nyo maglagay ng picture nyo, picture ng store nyo, or information ng social media accounts ng store nyo, pwede nyo ring ilagay. Hindi po bawal magdagdag, pero bawal magbawas ng information na mandatory. Next po, we have the non-VAT invoice naman. So, for the non-VAT invoice, halos same lang naman siya nung kaninang diniscuss ko. I-highlight ko na lang kung ano yung difference para po hindi tayo umuli. So, same pa rin po yung invoice, the logo na optional, the business name na optional. Dito sa seller's information, since this is a non-VAT invoice, imbis na VAT Reg TIN doon sa sample ko kanina, non-VAT Reg TIN na yung simula ng ilalagay nyo before the TIN itself. Then we also have the serial number, the date, the buyer's information, the details of transaction, same pa din po. Then dito sa baba, dito na magkakaroon ng konting kaibahan because this is a non-VAT transaction or invoice, walang VAT breakdown. So diretso na doon kaagad sa discount kung meron man. Then ito po yung pinaka-importanting part. Since this is a non-VAT invoice, kailangan nakalagay yung this document is not valid for claim of input tax. Yan. Importante po yung mailagay sa non-VAT invoice. And then, again, the details ng mga discount, kung may mga mag-claim ng discount sa atin, and then the details of the ETP. Yan. So, yan. So much for the invoice. Let's now go to the bookkeeping requirements. For the bookkeeping requirements po, lahat po ng corporation, companies, partnership, or persons required by law, kayo nga pong mga nagbebenta or mga sellers natin, are required to pay Internal Revenue taxes, shall keep and use relevant and appropriate set of booking records duly authorized by the Secretary of Finance. So those whose gross annual sales, earnings, or receipts or output exceed 3 million for a particular taxable year shall have their books of accounts audited and examined yearly by independent CPA and their ITRs accompanied with duly accomplished account information form. So pag more than 3 million po, kailangan audited yung inyong books of accounts. Pag hindi naman, yung ano lang po, kahit hindi nyo siya ipa-audit, basta tama lang po yung recording na ginagawa nyo sa book of accounts. So for the bookkeeping requirements, katulad ng ATP or Authority to Print Invoice, meron ding different manner. May manual, ito po yung I think common na nakikita nyo, yung mga columnar, yung nabibili sa National Bookstore. So yan po, we call that manual books of accounts. At yan po ay pinaparehistro bago gamitin. Bago nyo yan sulatan ng transaction, kailangan iparegister nyo muna. For loose leaf and computerized accounting system, ito naman, hinihingan din siya ng permit to use loose leaf books, saka acknowledgement certificate nga po kung gumagamit kayo ng computerized accounting system, nakasama na yung bookkeeping requirements. So pag ganun po, ipiprint nyo yung books nyo at the end of the year, pag loose leaf and cast kayo, saka nyo ipaparegister with the BIR pag bounded na siya. So yun po, may deadline yun, later i-discuss ko po. Then, ito po yung mga common books of accounts na kailangan ng isang company pag nag-start. The General Journal, the General Ledger, Cash Receipts, and Cash Disbursements book. So, preservation of books of accounts. So, lahat ba itatago natin yung mga libro natin kahit more than years have passed na? So, for the purposes of the National Internal Revenue Code po, for safekeeping of books of accounts, required lang po kayong i-safekeep siya for 5 years, whether it's a manual, loose leaf, or computerized books of accounts. So after 5 years, kung hindi naman po siya subject for any investigation, hindi naman kayo subject for any investigation or anything, you can already dispose that books after 5 years. Then yung registration naman niya for the manual books of accounts, pag new registrant kayo, pag bagong registering business nyo, ang deadline niya before the filing of initial quarterly income tax return or annual ITR, whichever comes earlier. So kung nag-register, for example, kayo ngayong December, ang deadline nyo para magpa-register ng libro ay on or before April 15 of next year. Kasi wala na tayong fourth quarter ITR, annual na siya for individual. So, April 15, on or before April 15, kailangan magparehistro na kayo ng libro. Then for dun naman sa mga existing taxpayers na may mga libro na tapos magre-renew, for the manual books of accounts po, nire-renew siya hindi every year ha. Wala pong requirement si BIR na every year magpapa-register ng libro. Usually, ang nagre-require niya mga bookkeeper. I don't know, for some reason, they require the client to have books of accounts every year kahit wala pa sa kalahating nagagamit. But for the BIR, we only require renewal of books of accounts na manual before the full consumption ng libro. So, for example, 100 pages yan, 3 taon ka na, hindi mo pa naubos sa pang-4 na taon, paubos mo na. Pwede mo pa siyang gamitin as long as hindi pa ubos, lagyan mo na lang ng marker kung anong year na yung particular page. So, yun po, hindi po siya required every year before the full consumption. So, especially December po ngayon, hindi po kayo required mag-renew pag manual books of accounts. But if you have loose leaf books of accounts po, yung mga sinabi ko nga po kanina na pinapadaanan sa Excel or Word, yung mga libro nila, 15 days po after pagkatapos ng taxable year, for example, kaya calendar year, excuse me. So, December 31 po yung tapos ng calendar year. So, on or before January 15 next year, kailangan yung mga pinrint nyo na books of accounts nyo, ipabound nyo na, saka iparegister nyo na sa BIR. So, yun annually. Ito po yung annual dapat pinaparehistro. Same thing with the computerized books of accounts. Ito naman medyo mahaba. 30 days after the close ng taxable year. So, kung December 31 ang close ng taxable year, on or before January 30, kailangan maparehistro nyo na siya sa BIR na bounded na. Next po, for now po, the BIR requires books of accounts, whether it's a manual, loose leaf, or computerized, to be registered online through ORUS. So alam nyo naman po yan yung site ni ORUS, orus.bir.gov.ph. Upon successful registration, yung QR stamp po na makukuha nyo doon, yun na yung ididikit nyo sa libro or itatago nyo kung computerized system po yung gamit nyo para po for reference purposes. But you don't need to go to the BIR para pa ipa-manual stamp siya. So, okay na po yung QR na makukuha nyo kay Orus. Ayan. Next po, ito po yung sample ng QR na nakukuha kay Orus. So, we have the details. So, yung details saka yung QR, tinakpan ko lang para hindi siya ma-replicate kasi since we are exposed po online. So, ayan. So, to detail, ito po yung laman ng QR code. TIN ng taxpayer, the registered name, the registered address, the types of books, if it's manual, loose leaf, or computerized. Kung ano yung pinaparehistro yung libro, journal ba yan, ledger. Then we also have the permit number kung yan ay loose leaf, acknowledgement certificate control number kung yan ay computerized system. Then, kung kailan in-issue yung PTU or accreditation, acknowledgement certificate control number. The quantity, kung yan ba ay 2 libro, 3 libro, volume number, kung yan ba ay volume 1 to 2 or 3 to 5 na, date kung kailan yung pinarehistro, kung kailan na-approve, and yung mismong QR code. Ayan. So, yan na po yung discussion ko for the compliance requirements. But just for additional reminders po, we emphasize po na si BIR po nagkakandak ng mga initial briefing for new business registrant. But if you are not a new business registrant pero gusto mong ma-refresh, pwede rin naman po kayong mag-join. And we encourage na yung mismong taxpayer sana as much as possible, yung taxpayer na nagpaparehistro ng business, siya mismo yung uma-attend ng briefing. Kasi po, minsan, may mga bookkeeper lang yung pinapatid nila or representative, minsan hindi nila alam na may mga ganito palang requirements. So nagugulat na lang sila kapag may pag meron na silang kailangan bayaran, may mga penalties pala kasi hindi nila alam na may kailangan pala silang i-comply. So we encourage taxpayer na mag-attend ng initial briefing or even the existing taxpayer for refresher na kinakandak ng every BIR office on a schedule basis. Usually may mga weekly, may mga every other day. You can check po our website para dun sa schedule, makikita nyo siya doon. Or kung may malapit sa inyong RDO, pwede nyo naman puntahan or tawagan sila for you to know the schedule. And as much as possible, consider po natin kung kayo po ay kukuha na lang din ng mga representative, yung mga accredited tax practitioners niyan, agents ng BIR na nasa website namin, pwede nyo nang kunin yung kanilang service para po sure kayo na bago sila naging practitioner agent, dumaan sila sa accreditation ni BIR.